Okay, Jack, a lot of good things to like about your stance. You've got a good head-to-tail platform, good spinal alignment, pretty good weight distribution in front of and in back of the center of gravity, and that's going to help you be very leveraged, which means you can be very powerful with the throw. We've got a couple issues there we need to correct, and we'll address that in a minute. But the first thing that I want to talk about is stance width. In the game of football, just give me 1 second. In the game of football, you need your feet up and under you, right? It's a game of balance, leverage, power, and mobility. A normal football stance is going to be a little wider than the shoulders. Snapping wise, we need 4, 6, or maybe a guy with wide shoulders and big legs like you, maybe 8 inches wider than your regular stance. We simply need more operating room between the legs so we can make an uninhibited, unrestricted throw down and through the legs. Okay? Coming into camp yesterday, we thought you were maybe a little bit wide. Okay, slightly, not extreme. But the wider you get, we can get some problems that are serious. Number one is it's very hard to get down in a stance when you get wider, which means that your center of gravity creeps ever upward, a losing gamble, or a losing, position in the game of football. Number two, when you do force your down, you start creating a lot of tension in the hip flexors. That's going to tighten you up, tense you up, and therefore slow down the entire motion. The third thing is it's a little harder to balance the wider you get. The fourth thing is, even if you drive with the legs really hard, we're not going to be able to get that drive to go back into the hips where we can capture the lower body motion energy and have it contribute to accelerating the football to the target. All right? Fifth thing is, you finish a snap like this, you're not going to have a lot of mobility when people are out running you left, right, and center, right? Yeah. And the last thing is probably the most important. The wider you get, the more there is a propensity to finish with locked out knees. Quickest path to a short career is to have those locked out knees with big heavy bodies crashing around you. So we're going to want to get those feet up and under you just a bit. Now, I'm not talking a lot. The things I was suggesting were maybe to narrow down a 1/2 inch on each side. And then I'd like you to try this. Try rotating your heels inward a little bit. We have found that'll give you a real stable base on the balls of the feet. It also points the knees out of the way a little bit, giving you the maximal room between the legs. And the last thing is it really facilitates that driving of the legs back and into the hips where we can capture lower body motion energy. And I want you to do one other thing. When you sit into the stance, just push the knees out over the toes. That's going to maximize your operating room between the legs without necessarily getting the feet too wide. Stand over the ball, set it up, let's document it and see what it's looking like for you right now. All right. Thing we think is to see the knees slightly wider than the shoulders. You want your load bearing to be directly on the quad. That's the most comfortable and potentially explosive position from which to begin. You want to make sure there's no pressure on the flexors. How does that feel right there? Yeah, I think you're a little deep. Unbend your knees a touch. Did that help? Yeah. That should put it right there. Does it feel good? Yeah. You might be a tad wide now. You can always relax the knees inward a little too. That should feel really good. Yeah. All right, go ahead and step up, stand up, and step back where you were. The next thing, little overextended downfield. You have long arms and a long torso, pretty good long legs. Actually, arms and legs are pretty long, okay? You're a little overextended downfield, though. You got the ball a little too far out in front of you, okay? That tends to pull too much weight forward in your stance, okay? Not a good thing if we're trying to accelerate back in the opposite direction. You're a pretty good athlete. Trying to counterbalance that, what you're doing is you're shoving your weight back into the hips, okay? And in the process, you're getting so far back with the bulk of your weight, the body mass, that you're ending up flat-footed. You will not win any battles on the football field being flat-footed. On top of that, you're overstretched essentially. You're what, 6'3"? Yeah. Okay, you're setting up like you're 6'5". So you need to shorten you down a little bit. On top of that, when you're flat-footed, about the only way you can explode with the legs is straight up and down, like a hack squat, which means that we can't capture lower body motion energy. We need that lower body motion energy to be about 10 to 20 degrees off of vertical, back into the hips, so it can converge with and combine energies with the energy traveling down the spine through the hips and towards your target. That's the arrow point concept. We want those energies to converge and combine. That arrow point we want directed straight at our target, and that is where the ball will go. Make sense? The last thing, and this may be one of the most serious things we've got, you're popping up early. Anytime you pop your head up before you finish the snap, you're interrupting energy flow back to your target. You're sending half of it in the wrong direction. You're also cutting short your follow-through, which is severely going to compromise your accuracy. All right. Now, I said that was the last thing. There's actually one more. You have a bit of a throw hitch. You're lifting the ball and throwing, and that's simply a reflection of the fact that you were overextended, because you can't start a throw from there. You got to pick it up and get where you're comfortable and then accelerate. We get you set up right, that's gone. Okay, set up, we're going to 3-step you. Then we'll show you how to adjust yourself, and then we'll let you throw a couple of balls to document a good looking snap. You like to get a little deep here, so let's not get beyond 90 in the knees. It's not a powerful, explosive place to start. You ready?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to pull you forward. Go ahead and lean on the ball. Want to get your knee bend to 90 degrees or less. Straighten the back and fully extend the arms. Then I'm going to grab you by the triceps. I'm going to lift you up, maximizing operating room under your torso. The last thing I want to do is I want to push you back into the hips towards your target. Notice that that's not down to the ground, okay, but it's back towards your target. Ground, knees are over the toes, you're solid on your feet. Does that feel comfortable?
Yeah.
If you feel like you need the ball a little further out, go ahead. As long as it doesn't shift too much weight forward. Give it a throw. Okay. Popping the head up quite a bit, so we're going to do a little work on that. You like to keep your head up throughout the snap? Have you ever tried throwing down and through?
I can do it.
Well, if you don't like it, you don't have to do it, but it's just one option. Here you go, Brandon, thank you. Let's try it once just to see. And you could actually widen your feet out a little bit. You've come down so narrow, that's a little extreme for a guy as big as you. That looks pretty good. So, you were overextended, hunkered back and flat-footed. What we did is we raised your platform. By moving you vertically further from the ball, you're able to bring it a little closer while still preserving that good arm extension, okay? Then we shoved your weight around until we got the knees right over the toes for an optimal balance, okay? Throw that ball hard. Try throwing the head down and through. Let's just see what it looks like, okay? May not be your thing. A lot of blind snappers like it because they feel like they really get a lot of umph on it or grunt. What they're really doing is they're making sure all the energy flow travels back towards their target. If you want to keep your head up, that's fine, but it must remain what we call neutral. You can't be popping it up early. So I'm going to do two things to help you with that. The first thing I'm going to do, go ahead and set up, is I'm going to shove your shoulders down and through while you snap so you can get a feel of how all that energy can travel back. Feel that?
Yeah.
Okay, now I pushed you pretty hard, but I just want you to feel what that's like. Work on the hill should be tremendously beneficial to you. The last thing I'm going to do, let me see that ball, Brandon. Hang on one second. Jack. Okay. Is I'm just going to hold the ball over your head. As a reminder, if you pop your head up before the snap's gone, you're going to feel it. That right there was an outstanding snap with great spiral and everything else. A little bit high, a little off to the side. Those are pretty easy fixes, but how did it feel?
Felt pretty good.
Okay, let's do one more. Keeping that head down, Jack, is going to be the key to making you a much better snapper, okay? Now you're actually pointed off to the side. We're not quite lined up, so let's do this. That's why the ball went off to the right on you. Okay, line up on that football. You can widen those feet a bit. You can widen them even a little more. You're getting awful narrow. Does that feel better? Don't get quite too deep, okay? Make sure you're balanced. If you're not sure that you're balanced, you can lower that rear touch. Blind snap is pretty horizontal to hip, so the arrow's pointed right at the target. Lift the ball off the ground. Make sure you're balanced and set it straight down. That's going to be a good arm extension. Now, don't pull that head up. Throw a good, quick, hard ball. Okay? You're jabbing at it a little. I think you're used to sometimes falling over and that type of thing. We do have you marked down as jabbing at the follow-through because if you're popping up, that's what's going to happen. Yeah. Let's try to stay down and hold that finish right now. There's nobody rushing you. You don't have any other job right now. Let's train that for muscle memory right now. Let's do it one more time. Now, you do consistently throw the ball to the right, so here's what I'm going to do, okay? I'm going to move the ball over in your stance a touch. That should straighten it out really well. If it feels too much, just move it back a little. Excellent. How'd that feel? Okay. I want you to get more aggressive. You're a big, strapping, strong kind of guy. You probably hit people hard as a lineman. There's no reason you can't be as aggressive doing this as you'd be firing out to block or tackle an opponent or girlfriend. You have any questions?
No, sir.
Looking pretty good. Let's go. You all right? Okay, you're getting a little narrow on me for a big guy like you. There you go. It's a discipline thing as you fatigue. You just got to force yourself to do it and do it right. Don't get too deep. Be comfortable with it. That look good? Feel good? Good hard two-handed throw. Okay. Trying to muscle it just a bit so you're hitching the rear. So you're getting a little tall on the back end for a blind snap. I want to sit you a little deeper, make sure there's no pressure on the hip flexors. Raise that front end a touch maybe. Now just the front end. Keep the rear down. Does that feel better? Should. You're a big guy. Be big on the field. Throw it hard. Okay, keep it rolling because there's one other thing that's happening. You're just moving physically more slowly. We've done 2 days of snapping. Just quicken it up. Quicken the whole thing up. Get rid of the ball quickly and everything should come together for you. Shift your weight back a touch, or a little forward. There you go. Quick. See what a difference that makes? That was a perfect snap.